Hello, everyone. This is Cameron Thompson of Home to Canine Dog Training and Hope to Canine Rescue, your host for Unleash Your Dog's Best Summit. We have a really special person here today, Kimberly Artley, but before we chat with her, I'd like to share a little bit about this event in case you're listening for the very first time. In this interview series, you will discover the secrets to understanding your dog, creating better behavior, and eliminating stress. Myself, along with a panel of fantastic experts, are sharing what it means to unlock the secrets to successful dog ownership, to eliminating bad behaviors and relieving stress so that ultimately you can feel empowered to find freedom and peace of mind in your life as a whole. Again and again, we see this knowledge setting dog owners up for better boundaries in their lives. They make calmer, more calculated decisions and generally learn to just slow down and listen more intently or not get stuck in past stories. I really encourage you to listen to each call to get the most out of this free event. Every interview is unique and valuable thanks to our diverse panel of experts. Each morning, we will send you an email with a link to the interviews of the day, so keep an eye out for those throughout the summit launch. All right, let's get started. Today, I am thrilled to introduce Kimberly Artley, who is the founder of PackFit, a unique dog training and behavior company dedicated to serving both ends of the leash through attention around mind, body, and canine behavior. There are several ingredients feeding into, influencing, and impacting canine state of mind and behavior, each of which PackFit takes a magnifying glass to. Through this holistic approach, the underlying and driving root causes of behavior are targeted and unveiled, hence giving way to more effective communication, understanding, and lasting change. As a lifelong dog lover, it wasn't until her first solo responsibility and game-changing dog, Lobo, that Kimberly would realize and begin to understand the vast difference between being a dog lover and being a dog understander. She's since trained under some of the best in the industry and is working tirelessly to spread a much-needed message. Her overall mission is to educate, empower, and equip the human end of the leash so we can best help the canine and return to balance, thus creating peace of mind and improving overall quality of life. Kimberly, I am such a fan of your message and mission. Thank you so much for being a part of the summit.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me. This is just extraordinary. I'm so thrilled to be a part of this.
Oh, wonderful. The pleasure is truly mine, and I know the listening audience is going to get some seriously wonderful knowledge bombs today. So it's just awesome that you were able to share your time with us. I'd love to get started with you sharing a little bit about your Lobo story, because it sounds like this is going to be a really wonderful relating intersection for our listeners to what got you into the balanced place that you're at now.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. So this chapter in life was a particularly difficult one. Lobo, he was my first solo responsibility dog. I mean, a nutshell version is I was married at the time, and I had always been a lifelong animal lover, dog lover. And my husband was very much an indoorsy kind of guy, and I'm very much an outdoorsy kind of gal. So I would ask him to go for walks and hikes or what have you, go camping, and, you know, he just wasn't interested. So I was like, all right, I'll just get a dog. And I did. And Lobo became my sidekick, my BFF. He went everywhere with me. I mean, we were doing all the ridiculous things I used to mock other people for, like going to the doggy birthday parties and happy hours and dressing them up for Halloween and the parades.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was doing all of that, and I was exposing him to a lot of different environments, and I didn't realize this was a very good thing at the time, but he was very well socialized. He had tons of dog friends. We would go to the dog park religiously, and, you know, which is something that I avoid now. But then, you know, that was something that we did quite often, and he would go to school with me. I was in school full time, and he would hang out with me while I did my work and blah, blah, blah. And my husband and I decided to get divorced. So about 2 weeks prior to that, a new puppy came in to the scene, and his name was Tucker, and Lobo was amazing with him. He was an excellent role model. And then when the divorce went down and my location changed. We moved out. It was my world just flipped upside down, and you know, I was in a really chaotic space, and you know, there was just I was not calm by any means. I was not grounded by any means. I lost my shit. I hope I can say that. I'm sorry to throw that that little word in there, but I did.
That fits right in with our community, not to worry.
Okay. But I did. I mean, I lost it. And, you know, I was just constantly nervous and worried and stressed out and anxious. And so who was once a very balanced, well-socialized, awesome dog suddenly became really aggressive and overprotective. And even the dogs that he had played with for years it was a risk for him to be around them. And, you know, walks were a nightmare. He would flip out every time he saw someone or another dog. And, in my mind at the time, I thought, oh, my God, what is wrong with my dog? My dog needs training. My dog has a problem. My dog needs to be fixed. That was my thought process. That was my mindset at the time. And I went through several different trainers. And each of them worked with him on obedience. Okay, so they were just obedience training him. He could sit like the best of them, down, shake, come, all of that stuff. He was a well-trained dog. But what each and every single trainer neglected to address was the state of mind aspect of it and the part that I played into his practices, his behaviors, what was going on. And so I went into serious debt trying to figure out how to take care of this problem, how to fix this. And the last the last program he went through was a board and trade program. It was a 2-week one. And while he was there, he responded really well to the trainer. And he didn't go after any of the dogs there. But as soon as that program was over and as soon as he returned to me, he went right back to his behaviors. He reverted right back. So there's a massive clue right there. There's a lot of information right there that I did not see at the time and that I completely missed. And so long story a little bit longer, he ended up biting somebody. And his life ended early. And it was something that I really, really, really struggled with for a long time. Now, knowing what I know now, if I knew then what I know now, I could have fixed that immediately. But I did not know then what I know now. And this is something that I always remind my clients. We don't know what we don't know until we do know. And then when we do know, we can make different choices. But
do better.
I never ever want to happen. I don't wish that experience upon anybody. Yes, it was incredibly educational. Yes, he was one of my greatest teachers, and that whole experience set me on a path that I did not expect. But what happened with him really truly lies at the core and at the heart of exactly what I do and why I do it. So it's really, it's
so you really were in a weakened emotional state, and your dog felt responsible, huh?
Yeah, the person who was steering the ship, so to speak, the captain of the ship, the captain of the crew, suddenly there was nobody steering the ship. And, in the animal mind, somebody's got to be calling the shots here, or else we're all going to die, So, it's, this is yet another thing. I tell my clients all the time, it's not personal, it's primal. It's not personal, it's primal. If we are not stepping up and into the role and representing the type of energy that dogs on a very primal, instinctual, very deep level will trust, respect, and follow, that they feel safe and secure enough, trusting, respecting, and following, then their instincts are going to tell them there's a position to be filled. somebody's got to be guiding the ship. Somebody's got to be steering the ship. So they're gonna step up. But what creates all the imbalance is we live in a very far from instinctual world. I mean, we live in a very far from instinctual manner. They don't know how to navigate and make sense of this world that we're living in. So if they're trying to lead us and guide us in a world that they don't completely understand, that's going to create imbalance. That's going to create insecurity. That's going to create all this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that you brought up that obedience is not enough. That you know, I think your story is so important to share because it's so common. It's very relatable for a lot of people. Many of our listeners will be oftentimes not even on that first dog. They'll be on their second or third dog where they're in a similar dynamic, feeling kind of backed up against a wall or, you know, overwhelmed and exhausted by struggle. And they're desperately looking to understand, you know, the correlation between why do my dogs or why is my dog having these issues and I can't get it straightened out through, you know, the obedience training, for example. Why isn't that enough?
Yeah.
Can you maybe elaborate on that for a moment?
Yeah, there's a big difference between, in my mind, there's a big difference between obedience training and state of mind shaping and conditioning. So, I mean, obedience training does play into the conditioning of behavior. It's it is an ingredient, but it's not the end all be all. And people have to remember their dogs are just as individual as we are. So even if they had a dog and, you know, maybe they fall into, they attach themselves to a story like, well, you know, Rover never behaved this way. I don't understand. You know, Rover wasn't like this. Rover wasn't this high strung. You know, I think, I hear stories like that a lot where people have had a dog before that didn't require them to step up as much. But, you know, I think I love the challenging dogs because they're fostering our own personal growth and evolution. I mean, and Caesar even says this, Caesar Milan, he says, you know, we might not always get the dog we want, but we always get the dog we need. And I really, truly believe that each and every single dog that comes into our lives is going to require something new and something different of us each and every time. They're going to require us and challenge us to step up in ways that we've never had to before. And that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. What is the benefit, to expand on that, because this is such an important part of the message throughout the summit. I just love this aspect of what we get to do, especially in the sort of quote unquote balance training community where we see the critical importance of sharing not just yes, but no with dogs and in our lives and relationships in general. Can you kind of speak to the value of digging deep and facing that opportunity and really rising to the occasion with a dog that feels more challenging or intensely challenging and above someone's dog level, how you would approach that now? For example, if you had Lobo to do over again, what is waiting on the other side of stepping up and really fulfilling that calling to learn those lessons and to get that formula straightened out with a dog like that? Can you kind of share a little bit about what you see your clients experience when they do that, as opposed to running from the problem, right? Or passing it on.
Yeah, and avoiding it. Yeah, it's, you know, dogs, again, they're going to require new and different things of us. And, I mean, I just had like 10 different thoughts that just came to my mind, and then I lost exactly what it was that I was trying to get clear on and say.
It'll come back.
Can you repeat the question one more time while I reformulate?
Yeah, of course. I think, you know, what we oftentimes struggle to share with our clients when they're first starting out in pursuing training help or solutions is that they have no idea just how brilliant the growth potential is on the other side, right, of solving that puzzle. And like what I would love is for people to hear from your experience and, you know, as a coach now and a mentor and a trainer, what you experience dog owners developing through resolving these issues with their dog. That it isn't just the dog, right? That they get to feel resolution around, right?
There's so many ingredients. Behavior is so incredibly layered and highly, highly contextual. So it's not, we've got to get rid of black and white thinking, and we've got to get rid of the story that we've attached to our dogs. We've got to just completely detach from the story, because there's a saying, I wrote a book called My Dog, My Buddha, and on the front cover is Lobo in all his glory. And it's 100 different life lessons that dogs are here to teach us. And one of them is we breed what we feed. So whatever we are pouring our energy into, whatever we're constantly envisioning, whatever we're constantly thinking about, and whatever we're speaking about all the time, like all these things, we can, I mean, we're feeding that type of reality. So when it comes to our dogs, we've got to detach from the story, and we've got to go back down to the basics. You know, what do they need as a completely different species of animal? They're canines, we're primates. What do they need as the canine species, as a member of the canine species, to feel fulfilled, to reach and maintain balance? And, you know, out in nature, there's a natural order and a natural structure to how everything operates. It just is what it is. There is no question. It just is what it is. So when we bring back to them as domesticated animals, when we bring to them what we've removed from them, you know, out in nature, then, you know, they will feel more balanced. But this is, I mean, they're not born understanding what we consider to be polite, respectful, appropriate behavior, right? So the responsibility and the onus 100% falls upon us to help them connect the dots and to help them understand their place in the world, what's expected of them, you know, what we're, you know, what's okay, what's not okay, but structure and rules and boundaries and leadership and discipline. There's a yin and yang to discipline. You know, there's the agreement, praise, yes, I give this my consent. And then there's the, you know, knock it off. No, this is not okay. You know, whatever part of it. Mental stimulation. They've got brains. The brain is an organ. They crave an opportunity to use it. Exercise. My God, this is, you know, this is just one of their most basic primal needs. You know, dogs in the wild, from what I read, roam anywhere between 40 and 70 miles in a day. You know, and a lot of domesticated dogs, they're lucky if they get like 15 minutes in a day. You know? Yeah. And, you know, a lot of the behaviors that we're seeing is really just stemming from the frustration and the stress and the anxiety and boredom, you know, from one or more of their instinctual needs as a member of the canine species not being met, not being provided for, and not being fulfilled by us. You know, we're loving them to death. We're loving them to the point of imbalance and insecurity and just craziness. You know, we're showing affection and they're gaining. Like dogs, just like people, dogs are about, you know, two primary things. They're about whatever it is they're going to gain from something and whatever is going to ensure their survival. You know, that's really kind of it. So if they're constantly gaining, like they're gaining affection, they're gaining privileges, they're gaining food and toys and treats and like all of this stuff, we've totally removed any sense or aspect of them earning anything. Like out in the wild, they don't eat unless they work for it. They don't, I mean, rank is earned, mates are earned, everything is earned. But domesticated dogs, a lot of them don't have to do anything. Everything is freely given to them, you know? So, you know, we're conditioning a lot of, and you'll probably hear these terms throughout the panel, you know, just really bratty, really entitled, really spoiled, rude, whatever types of behaviors in dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of attitudinal stuff that I think owners are not recognizing as exactly that. And, the challenge can be to, first of all, accept that it's possible that your baby could have, like a super mega inflated ego and actually be a real jerk. And then to step up and start addressing that and setting boundaries. I mean, right there is an opportunity to recognize where you may be permissive outside of that relationship, right? Or where you may struggle in leadership outside of that relationship. Because I think a lot of what you're articulating in our disconnect or our over-emotionalizing of our animals is not isolated, that it isn't, usually something that stands alone in our behavior and our process in our lives in general. So, I'm sure you see this because you take the approach that you do in your program, and I'd love for you to expand on this a little bit, but I'm sure there's a lot of time that you spend helping people to recognize those connections of where they're exhibiting behavioral patterns in how they approach their dog dynamic, and as well as their human relationships. Is that right?
Yeah. And when a dog, I have not been a dog in a past life, so I cannot speak from experience, but I can feel that, a dog would feel that the more that they feel understood and advocated for, and the more that they feel like, my human gets me, this human that she really gets me, the more comfortable they're going to feel. There is a lot of disconnect, and a lot of people, they get dogs for very selfish emotional reasons. They have some sort of emotional void, whether they're lonely or they're depressed or, what have you, and they think that they're going to get a dog that's going to offer them unconditional love and life is going to be grand. But, chances are, there's just so many ingredients. Dogs, they're going to be a reflection of who we are as energy. We are their primary source of information. They are looking to us for their cues, their guidance, their directives for how to feel about each and every scenario and situation that they enter into. And they're also going to be a reflection of what we're doing and not doing, what we're investing our time, energy, and attention into, and what we're not. So, it's, there's so many ingredients that really play into this. Human ingredient and, their environment and whether or not their needs are being met and provided for, and a whole bunch of stuff.
What sort of advice do you give for people to interrupt the pattern and start focusing on, making the shifts they need to make? How does their own personal practice with regard to their mind and body play into changing their dog's behavior issues?
This is, honestly, the dogs for the most, the dogs really are the easy part. Like they crave a return to balance, so it's the majority of the work that I do. And the hardest part about what I do is helping people to understand and, just helping people become more aware of what type of information they're giving their dog, via their energy, what message they're putting out that they might not even realize they're putting out. I often see these massive, huge energy gaps between humans and their dogs. Like, you might have a really strong energy, not high energy, but a very strong energy dog, and have a very soft, very passive, very meek kind of human. And these dogs, there's a massive gap there, and these dogs will just come in and take over, So it's not about it's not that the person is a bad human or anything like that. It's not about right or wrong, but it's about learning what needs to be done, like how to raise the energy a little bit so that the dog will feel more comfortable lowering his, and that where a common ground can be created and they can meet there. So like there was one I used to teach yoga and Pilates and kickboxing. I loved kickboxing too. It was, as far as confidence building, oh yeah. It was so much fun. But I always left class just feeling like such a badass, like Come
yeah.
on, bring it on. Who wants some of this?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm always telling my clients, you've got to dig deep and get into that ninja stance. You know, it does sometimes take practicing things that just help shift your energy. Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah. And I always tell them, just adopt a mantra, like, even if it's, I got this, I so effing have this, I got this. Jazz yourself up, but, or envision, picture someone who, really represents strength and confidence and poise and whatever, and just channel that. But, I had a client who had adopted a dog who was a really strong energy, Aussie Shepherd dog. And she had a very, very soft energy. And she was very soft-spoken, and there was a massive energy gap there. So, thinking, I was like, okay, I'm really going to have to do some out-of-the-box thinking. And I really hope that, she just doesn't think I'm a weirdo and kind of goes with me on this. But, I was thinking about, kickboxing and how empowered and confident that made me feel. And I suggested to her that she maybe take a kickboxing class or some kind of martial arts class or something. And believe it or not, she actually did. But when she did,
good for her.
I mean, it was awesome. Not only did she shed a few extra pounds, which she was really happy about, but she started, like, her confidence started building, and she started showing up in her space a little bit differently, and her dog started responding to her differently. It was just
awesome.
It's stuff like that. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And that's an incredible example of, of course there were other things that went into the training, but that was just kind of mind-blowing to see how her dog responded to her. But, it's just a beautiful example of us. Yeah, just stepping up and into the role that they need us to play in order to feel safe and secure following us in this crazy-ass world that we live in.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if you can speak for a moment to kind of a more preventative side of things, because certainly there are going to be folks who will benefit and who are, being proactive in seeking this information before choosing a dog for themselves or before, bringing their puppy home. And I think that sometimes the approach and the process is a little overwhelming for them as they hear conversations around rehabilitation or dealing with heavy-duty dog behavior, and they're thinking, this is just, a brand new puppy. I'm just starting out, but my puppy is fine. It doesn't have any issues yet. Why would I need to be thinking along those lines of somebody who is trying to get control of, a 110-pound 3-year-old Mastiff? But I do think that a lot of the principles are the same, and that there are some things that you might be able to share for people who are trying to get it right from the get-go and who may think, this stuff doesn't apply to them because of their circumstance. What does, apply regardless? What correlates in terms of preventing behavior issues and how they should look at starting out in a fresh, brand new, clean slate relationship with their dog?
Meet their instinctual needs. Meet the needs that they have. This is what will help to create and nurture calm and balance, and to learn, just become more self-aware again of the information that you're sending them. If we're consistently nervous, anxious, stressed out, pissed off, frustrated, impatient, whatever, if we're consistently showing up in our space like that, that's information we're sending to the dog. And I guarantee that they're going to pick up on it, and they're going to start, that's going to affect how their world concept and how the filter through which they view the world and how, they're expected to show up, So, we do help to shape and condition their self and world concepts. We are, major players in that, but meeting their needs, the structure, the rules, the boundaries, the exercise, the discipline, the mental stimulation, practicing their social skills, all of that all of that stuff. I mean, it's even play. My gosh, play. Time and place for everything. But play is a very important part, just allowing them to just exist and be, all of these things really help to create a foundation of balance, and it's balance. It's not like it's something, you don't send a dog to a training program or you take dog to training and then they're set for life. Like this is stuff, like training happens every single day, and nurturing and conditioning balance is a daily practice, and it's a daily mindset, and it's a daily manner of showing up, not just for ourselves, but for our dogs. So that's why I was saying, like, this is inadvertent life coaching, like working with our dogs, and learning what we need to do to, how we need to show up so that they feel safe, so that they feel comfortable, so that they feel secure, learning what we need to do to nurture their calm and balance as far as state of mind goes, like all of this stuff, learning what we need to generate and project information-wise, what type of energy we need to represent. I mean, all of this stuff, it's seriously, it's inadvertent life coaching. But meeting their instinctual needs, meeting their instinctual needs, that's, honestly, even with dogs with freakish behaviors, outlandish behaviors, it's not going to be the only ingredient, of course, but I usually, I go back to basics a lot with a lot of my clients. It's just, you've got to, all behavior is a manner of expression. That's what behavior is. It's an external manifestation of an internal underlying driving force. And usually that internal underlying driving force is connected to one or more of their instinctual needs not being met and provided for. The excessive digging. Yeah, excessive digging.
Can you say that
jumping,
one more time?
aggression.
I think that's so powerful. All behavior is.
All behavior is a manner of expression, and it's the external manifestation of an internal underlying driving force. Yeah, it's expression.
Writes that down.
So what we're seeing,
write it down, folks.
Yeah, we've got to look beyond what we're seeing. As soon as people see teeth, or as soon as people hear a growl, or as soon as people see like all of these things, they automatically start judging and labeling. And we've got to look beyond that. Just like people, if we would want to be understood. Usually, if we're smoking excessively or gambling excessively or shopping excessively or we've got OCD, whatever, perfectionism, whatever numbing or coping mechanisms that we've developed because we have some needs of ours that went unmet and unfulfilled and that we haven't addressed yet. Usually stuff like this will create as a coping mechanism to either numb or avoid or whatever. But it's really similar with dogs. All these expressions that we're seeing are coping mechanisms. They don't know how to deal. They're frustrated. They're bored. They're stressed. They don't know their place in the world. They don't have a human that they feel comfortable and secure and safe and confident enough to follow. They've got nobody that they feel safe looking to guide them, to teach them, to help them connect the dots, to way show. So we've got to look beyond the behavior. Kind of went off from your original question there, but.
No, that is absolutely gold. I know that you're going to be tickling a lot of hearts really in what you stated. The behavior being an expression of, an internal state is such a powerful concept for people to grasp around their dog's behavior expressions and their own. Why did you get the dog in the first place? Was this a distraction, right? Was this something that you were trying to enter into to get out of recognizing a deeply rooted emotional struggle or an unmet instinctual need in yourself? And awareness is just such incredible freedom. So I think it's absolutely brilliant that this is what, you were led to open into, because that's life-changing, life-empowering stuff. And I really hope folks will just marinate with that, particularly after the interview, and just kind of take some time to really self-reflect and get super honest about, what they can pinpoint in their own life that might be relatable here, and how much that's going to empower them to have the right kind of empathy for their dog, not the kind that gets them into trouble, as a soft and unavailable leader, but the kind that will empower them to really step into the opportunity that's in front of them and to really recognize the healing that can take place in relationship with their dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
this
stuff gets us so excited.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because that's really what it is, relationship. I mean, when we welcome a dog into our lives, when we welcome them into our homes, we are entering into a relationship. Their quality of life is 100% dependent upon the choices that we make, what we choose to step up and provide, and what we don't. It's a relationship, and at the foundation of each and every sound relationship is trust and respect, regardless of species. So that's another thing and that's another thing that's usually lacking is I see a lot of dogs who trust their people. I do not see a lot of respect going on, and that's usually one of the biggest ingredients that we really harp on and that we really try to strengthen and build, because if you don't have trust and respect, you've got nothing to build upon. You've got nothing to grow from. It's just your dog's going to give you the middle finger every time you call him. It's just, doesn't
matter how many cookies you have.
And that's the thing is I will use food to help them connect the dots. But I usually I'll start to phase it out, because I do not want their behaviors to ever become food dependent. Then at that point it's just bribery. There's a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
I want them to comply because we have a solid relationship.
Yes, I think that's so important, and a lot of our listeners really need the permission, to recognize that they're on a path maybe where they've been in a dynamic that is just not working, and there's a reason. There's a reason for that. Time to interrupt and not keep going on that cycle, and pursue the tools and the mindset that really is going to create the shifts that you need, and that it's available to you, and not stop until you get there, much like you expressed really in the top of the call with regard to your own experience. And we are going to be I'm going to be so sad to have to end our call when we finally do. I could talk for hours with you, but
I know.
I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to have a little bit of your insight. You have such a wealth of knowledge around the body piece, the health piece as it pertains to dog behavior, and I would love to just sort of run us in that corner for a moment and have you share a little bit about why that's such an important aspect of how we approach behavior issue resolution, and what is going on for our dogs if we have missed the boat on really treating the whole animal. So from your experience and kind of your program, I would love for you to kind of talk about that and how you approach that and why that's super important as well.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Nutrition is something that, because I'm a nutritionist, a human one. So, of course, I naturally, this kind of bled into my passion about learning everything I could about canine nutrition. So an animal's physiology will always tell us and will always dictate what that animal should be taking in for a strong, robust immune system and for health. Okay? So if you consider, like chickens, for example, they've got beaks, they've got claws, they're constantly scratching at the ground. They're trying to pull up, worms and bugs and insects because that's their natural diet. They're not supposed to be eating a vegetarian diet or a grain diet or anything like that. So when we eat diets, when we consume food and we eat diets that are unnatural to us and that our physiology is not set up and designed to take in and utilize and absorb, it creates malnourishment and inflammation, which are two of the main culprits behind what a lot of ailments and diseases and illnesses are stemming from, not just them, but for us. So an animal's physiology, it's really important to pay attention to. If you look at canine physiology, they have a lot of pointed teeth. they don't have a mechanism in their jaw that allows their jaw to move from side to side or back or forward. We do have that mechanism. We chew like cows. And we have, if you compare canine and human physiology, we have more flat teeth with a couple canines, which does indicate to me that we can take in some meat and some animal product, but it's not supposed to be the bulk or the staple of our diet. Plus, the type of animal meat that a lot of us are consuming nowadays, they were all fed diets that are unnatural to them, so their bodies stay in constant inflammation. They live in very crammed, really sad quarters, and they're constantly stressed, so they constantly have cortisol pumping through their veins. They're injected with hormones and steroids and antibiotics, and they're not living good lives. Whatever an animal is injected with and whatever an animal eats, we eat when we eat that animal, and so do our dogs. But anyways, going back to the main point, so digestion doesn't start until food hits their stomachs. Digestion starts in our mouth. So as soon as food hits our mouth, we secrete a carbohydrate digesting enzyme called amylase. There's information there. While we're all built and designed to take in all three macronutrients, the macronutrients being protein, fat, and carbohydrates, the percentages are going to vary, right? So we should be taking in more carbohydrate, followed by fat and protein. Now, of course, this is not the Holy Grail. This isn't the Bible of nutrition, but it's good starting points and pieces of information to consider. We should always treat the individual, feed the individual, just like with behavior, working with them with behavior. Just work with the individual, feed the individual. But digestion starts in their stomachs. They have a really, 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 really acidic system, a pH balance in their system. Ours is more alkaline. Well, a healthy person has a more alkaline system. An unhealthy person will have a more acidic system because they're taking in more acid-producing foods and beverages. The length of our intestinal tracts is like 24, 26 feet in length. It's really long. Theirs are really short. If we didn't file and clip down their nails would be a lot sharper. Ours are more rounded, like monkeys. So there's a lot about our physiology that's giving us information about what type of nourishment, and that's what food should be. Yes, it's pleasure, but it should nourish, and it should strengthen, and it should it should be feeding us. But it's what it's doing for a lot of dogs and a lot of people, it's creating just the complete opposite of health. It's suppressing the immune system. We are consuming more food-like products and not enough real food. And this is, people see a wolf on a bag of whatever, and they automatically think it's good for their dog because a wolf's on the bag. Or like
marketing.
Have you seen? Yeah. I mean, the clever buzzwords, the Blue Buffalo commercials, for example. You see a bunch of wolves running through the woods, and they're like, your dogs are descended from wolves, and wolves in the wild eat real salmon. That's why we use real salmon in our Blue Buffalo. That commercial drives me bonkers because it's like, even if you do use real salmon in your bag of, stuff, it's barely reminiscent of what it once was. Barely. If you want to feed your dog salmon, give them some effing salmon. If you want to feed your dog chicken, give them some freaking chicken. All of this other stuff. There's no, it's the canine equivalent of junk food.
Just gone when it's been processed on the level that it has as a kibble. Yeah.
And it's completely enzyme deficient. And we need enzymes. There's thousands of different types of enzymes. But the three main types are metabolic, digestive, and food enzymes. And food enzymes we're supposed to get from our food. But because most of us are eating either highly processed or heavily cooked foods, we're eating enzyme-deficient foods. So if you think of it in terms, you always use a bank account analogy. So when a living, breathing body, physical body is born, it's born with a bank account of enzymes. And what happens over time is if we're subsisting off of an enzyme-deficient diet, what our bodies will do is leach from its own bank account, its own enzyme stores to help process and absorb, move the food through. But what happens over time, if you're constantly making withdrawals, and not make any deposits, eventually your account goes bust. Malnourishment, inflammation, all that stuff. And I mean, this is the same with people. Like, kibble didn't even, it didn't even go mainstream until around the 1950s. And, way back when, we see a direct parallel and a spike in cancer, diabetes, arthritis, all this stuff that all these illnesses and diseases they're getting too. And our lifestyles are very similar. The types of food or food-like products that we're consuming, just lack of exercise, the amount of stress, like all of this stuff. Smelling, if we use the chemical household products, breathing that in, their bodies are being constantly bombarded with immune suppressing stuff. Their immune systems are just, havoc has been wreaked on them. Over vaccinations, flea and tick topicals, heartworm medication, food-like products, not enough exercise, like all of this stuff, tap water. Their immune systems, they don't have a fighting chance. We're not strengthening or building them. We're doing the complete opposite. We're tearing their immune system down.
So then we see the body is compromised and not feeling well, and behavior follows, right? The same way if we're grumpy, due to, indigestion or heartburn or, chronic fatigue, we're not at optimal peak.
It's just like kids. It's just like kids living off of junk food. If they eat McDonald's every day or candy or chips or soda, it's in my opinion, in my mind, even if you have like a high grade kibble, that uses real chicken and it's the first ingredient or whatever, there's a bunch of other stuff in there. It's enzyme deficient. It's a food-like product. It's not real food. You cannot beat the real thing. The real food speaks a language that our bodies instantaneously understand. They know exactly what to do with it. They know exactly how to break it down. They know exactly where everything needs to go. And that's why when you feed a biologically species-appropriate diet to your dogs, gosh, you see so many amazing changes and benefits. Their mental acuity is a lot sharper. They don't poop as much because what is poop? Poop is waste. Their bodies are actually using what they're taking in, so they don't produce as much waste. It's reflected in their skin condition, their coat condition. I mean, it really does. It impacts a lot. And it absolutely influences and impacts state of mind and behavior. Absolutely. It's just, again, it's like you can't expect a kid that is, living off of high C's and take out pizza, McDonald's, and candy and whatever to sit still in class and absorb and retain information. You just can't.
Right. Yeah. No, there's going to be a cognitive compromise there for sure. What are the best, ways for people to get started down a path of better education around making changes in this area of their stewardship of their dogs? Let's say we've got a lot of folks that are getting motivated now to get more information and really educate themselves on how to create a fresh and natural, food plan for their dog to help eliminate any piece of this, behavior puzzle that's related to their dog not feeling well and being at their optimal best. Do you have great, sort of top go-to sources that you recommend besides working with you? I highly encourage people to do and connect with you. What's the best way for them to think about pursuing quality information and sussing out, good sources for learning?
I would definitely check out, there's a woman by the name of Dr. Karen Becker, who was a conventional vet. I think, do you know who she is? She's since become a holistic vet. But yeah, she's amazing. She's got this, YouTube channel. And you could look up, if you think to look up, if your dog makes a yellow, greasy, disgusting looking poo. Now, I will say this. Poo is an awesome indicator as to what is going down inside the dog. You can learn a lot about your dog's current state of health. Stress can cause diarrhea too. But you can learn a lot about what's going on with your dog by reading poo. I call it becoming the poo whisperer. So we all need to become poo whisperers.
That's great. That's great.
But, yeah, Dr. Karen Becker, she's got an awesome YouTube channel. You can plug in whatever it is that you want information on, and you're going to see several pieces of information and videos pop up on our YouTube channel. Rodney Habib with Planet Paws up in Canada, he's doing amazing things in the world of, canine health and welfare and nutrition. He's someone I highly recommend everybody follow. Dogs Naturally magazine is an excellent resource. Let's see. I did a webinar on Friday called What to Feed Your Dog and Why. And that it's roughly about 60 to 90 minutes, but I'll be conducting that again. So it goes into gut health, which is the gut-mind connection. Even in dogs, there's something there too. But I'll be conducting that again. There's a lot of information. The company that I use for food is Real Raw, and there's a code that you can use if you want to try them out. It's PACKFIT15, PACKFIT15. But Real Raw, real is spelled REEL. They only use respectfully and responsibly raised animals. There is no funny business. All the animals eat diets that are natural to them. There's a certain percentage of organ per raw bone per muscle meat that the dog should be taking in. They take the guesswork out of it for you. They ship everything to you frozen. You just thaw it out as you go.
Awesome.
I juice every day, so I save the pulp from my juice, stuff that's not toxic for them, of course. I save the pulp from my juice in a container, and I sprinkle that in their, in their food. And I also do supplement. I created something called a doggy supplement rack booklet, and it has I don't even know how many, but there's a bunch of supplements, and there's a picture on the front, and on the back of the page it lists all the benefits and then the dosage per 10 pounds of dog. And what's cool about this little booklet is that if you know your dog, if you know whatever might be ailing your dog or whatever is going on, their activity level, blah, 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 you can read through all the benefits, and you can see, like, if something's a really potent anti-inflammatory or whatever, then you can kind of customize what your dog would need using this. So, but there's a lot of really excellent resources out there. Yeah.
I need that in my life. I want one of those.
You got it.
I'm such a big fan of natural feeding. And, we've got a couple other people on the panel who are helping contribute to this conversation so beautifully. Dr. Christina Chambreau is another great resource for folks to reach out to. But I love that you brought up Dr. Becker and Rodney Habib. Great resources for people. So, you guys connect with Kimberly beyond the summit and continue to be in her space and, gain this incredibly important information, because the cool thing about what she has to bring to your toolkit is that it will be lifelong skills of how you approach caring for your pets. It's not something you just learn and apply one time. You get to be a better dog owner and have healthier pets forevermore when you understand, what their needs are on a holistic level. So you're just a powerhouse of information, and I so appreciate you sharing on all of these points, because I know from personal experience with my own dogs, and I see it in my clients all the time, that feeling empowered to recognize how connected, these systems are is just, it opens up everything to these people to feeling really a great deal of peace of mind, and ultimately having dogs that live longer, that connect better, that perform better. It's just huge to recognize the calling for getting it all pulled together, not just trying to put a Band-Aid on, a behavior problem or on a physical problem. We've got to get to the root cause for sure.
Yeah. We can't slap a Band-Aid on something that needs deeper cleaning. We've got to do the work. And I wish we had more time, because I wanted to bring up, I even had, after my dog Lobo, my dog Tucker passed away, he started having grand mal seizures, and I went through several different vets. Nobody could pinpoint what was causing his seizures. And I saw a neurologist, and she was able to link his seizure activity to the flea and tick topicals that I've been using on him So ever since then,
Wow.
I have not used a drop of that stuff ever. I use everything I do is naturally. When you build and strengthen the immune system from within, you offset so much stuff. That acts as a natural flea and tick preventative right there. But part of it. But I make it a point to try and share that story too, because I mean, just like with us, whatever we put on our skin gets absorbed by the body. There's a reason why things die when they bite or land on our dogs. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's your first line of defense. It really needs to be. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people just take the information from the vet, you know, are you on a program? Do you need to buy your annual supply? And we don't even think about the chemical component that we're poisoning our dogs with. And it's very hard to advocate if you don't have, you know, really empowering information. And that really is our job, I think. You know, our job, our calling is to be an advocate, is to have their back and to question what it is that, you know, is out there to do, the same way we have to do that for ourselves, you know, with regard to medical care and nutrition. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And that came up as well with Dr. Chambreau. I mean, she also said very emphatically, if the body is healthy, it balances itself. It manages those threats, and they are not an issue. You know, the body can handle it. The body repels those pests, and then you are doing a better service to the environment as a whole. Really important.
We've got to work with health, not against it. And so much of the companies and the products and everything it's all set up to work against health, and there's a lot of people that are profiting from it. You know, so it's give the body what it needs to do its groove thing, and it absolutely will. Build the immune system, strengthen it from within. You've got an awesome freaking army just ready to go to battle. Yeah. You know. Yeah,
get those ninja stances, those kickboxing energies out, people, and really start, you know, stepping up and questioning and fighting, going, hey, I don't really think my dog needs this. I'm gonna feed him from the inside out. We're gonna be in harmony with all of these, you know, concerns, and not have somebody else, you know, save some money, guys. Save some money. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the thing is when we, you know, people might be like, oh, it's too expensive to feed real or whatever. But, you know, you're saving money in the long run, because, you know, my guys never go to the vet ever. They don't have to get dental cleanings ever. Like they're healthy. You know, we go to a vet if they slice a paw pad or something, but you end up saving money in the long run, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of heartache for sure. I'm sure it was really stressful, you know, and painful going through a seizure situation. I dealt with that as well.
Oh, that's the most traumatic, horrifying thing to watch. He had a back-to-back seizure episode that didn't stop one night. And I thank God every day I was home for that. It was like 1:30 in the morning. It's just, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. It was, but you know, again, there's educational. I trusted my vet. I had
this stuff just happens, you know, dogs get sick, dogs age, dogs, you know, have run into these issues, especially when you have the breed conversations, right? Oh, this is a bully breed dog. They're prone to these problems. It doesn't have to be that the dog begins to have these issues, especially early in life or chronically.
Yeah. And I mean, the intensity at which they experience whatever they might be prone to or predisposed to can be greatly influenced by, you know, what we're doing, what we're feeding them, what we're putting on their skin, like all of that stuff. You know?
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing on that. This is just going to be truly empowering and really exciting for people to hear and really marinate on beyond the call. And I encourage our listeners to connect with Kimberly, message her if you've gained some valuable insights and you appreciate, you know, the time and the information that she shared. Don't hesitate to shoot her a note, let her know. I want to take our last couple of minutes and have you let people know where they can find you, how they can continue to connect with you virtually or in person. And then you've also got a cool bonus, like a hugely cool bonus that you're offering our listeners today, which is so amazing. And I'd love for you to just let them know where they can find that and what they're going to get out of this opportunity with your online course.
Cool. Yes, thank you. Well, my website, anybody could find me on my online home. The website is www.packfit.net, packfit.net. And on social media, there's a Facebook page for PackFit. I'm on LinkedIn and the Twitter. And then the online course, it's called Canine Essentials, and it's 9 different modules. And I cover the human ingredient. I cover nutrition. I cover structured walking. I cover instinctual needs. I even dip into like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I created my own little canine hierarchy of needs kind of off of that.
Oh, cool.
But there's, it's really comprehensive. And I talk about environmental impact and blah, blah, blah. So there's a ton of PDFs and activity sheets, and I put little quizzes at the end. I don't see the results, but I put the quizzes at the end so people could see what information is sticking and what isn't. So it's awesome. Everybody I'm really, really big about equipping and educating and empowering the human end of the leash whenever I work with clients. So everyone who signs on for training here with me in the DC metro area is automatically enrolled in the online course, so they go through that.
Cool.
But yeah, it's everybody gets $200 off of that. And there's a special code that should be in the link that you guys give them.
Yeah, we'll link it for you.
Yeah. Okay.
That is
so
awesome,
everybody gets $200 off of that
offer. Thank you so much for sharing that with our listening audience, and I hope you just have a flood of folks taking advantage. I'm looking at the wrap sheet here for what's involved in that course, you guys, and it is incredibly packed. It's just full, skinny on tools, nutrition, just tools. incredible resources. Yeah, language and communication. This looks awesome.
Yes.
I'm going to be jumping on for sure.
Lead.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we can't lead and guide and teach if we don't understand how to communicate, and we don't understand how to read and assess. You know, it's a different different language. So.
Yeah, the concepts are the same in our own language, and I just love the correlation. You know, if we have good process around how we deal with our dogs, and that we do look for those ingredients, then we can rinse and repeat. We can have great process around how we deal with each other. You know, how we lead in our own lives and relationships or our business, etc. So, what you're doing is so important.
Thank you. Yeah, and just becoming more accountable for the type of energy that we bring with us into each space. You know, it's not like I'm little Miss Zen Buddha master over here. Like, I definitely have, we all do. We're human. We're going to have our ups and downs and get knocked left and right, We're going to surf some waves, but, it's not necessarily what happens. It's just, how we, what we choose to learn from it. We can see it as a face plant and a failure or whatever, or we can see, okay, what did I learn from this? How can I learn from this? But, I can always tell when I'm having an off day by the behavior of my dogs. Always. Dogs will always give us the most genuine and honest and authentic feedback. Always. I can always tell when I'm having an off day.
Yeah, we can't hide anything. Yep, we cannot hide from them. It's amazing. I love that. And, what you last mentioned really made me think of my favorite mantra, which is that everything is happening for us, not to us. And I think you really encapsulated, that in kind of speaking to our opportunities here and how we can have perspective around our struggles with our dogs. And, when we take that mindset and that approach, it changes everything. It really does. And it can be hard, to get started, but it's pretty powerful.
It's all about the teachable moments, and instead of saying, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. Okay, what can I do with this moment? What can I learn from this moment? What can I teach in this moment? So if the dog is behaving one way and it's, not really what you expected, that, instead of reacting, it's, again, it's being more proactive than reactive. Being more proactive instead of reacting to it, and just taking a step back and being like, okay, what can I learn from this moment? How can I do this differently? It's, everything. It's all just a sequence and a series of teachable moments, for ourselves and our dogs.
Yeah. Awesome. what a great place for us to wrap up. And I know this will be a call that a lot of people will be having on replay. Thank you so much again, Kimberly. I'm just incredibly grateful to have your presence on the panel. Such a pleasure.
Thank
and
you.
I can't wait to get creative in how we can come together again in the future. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for creating this space for everybody. This is, I mean, just the everybody that's been on the panel. I was so excited to see all the names that you've included. So, I mean, it's just all the different approaches and theories, and always just, I mean, every day's a school day. We're going to learn something new and something awesome from everybody from everybody. We're going to learn something from everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you
I feel like
so
I
much
have been in school as I'm doing the interviews for sure. It's been incredible. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll close us out. Listeners, thank you so much again for hanging out with us today. Your next interview will be delivered to your inbox tomorrow. You have access to the interviews for just 7 days after it's released. So hurry up, get your listening ears on. Make sure you sit down with that cup of coffee in the morning or glass of wine in the evening and get those interviews downloaded into your brain and heart so you can really start grooving and cooking with gas in your dog training relationship. I look forward to joining you in our next chat. Until then, we want you to remember that creating the dog of your dreams is directly related to creating the life of your dreams. That sharing a balanced life with your dog is an invitation to dream bigger and better for yourself than you ever thought possible. So bye for now, and we will be back with you soon.